Okay, thank you. I think we'll start. Let's start. It's good to see everyone here also and here also. Thank you so much for coming in. Um,
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
For the invocation.
Hari Om, sir.
You still have that speaker?
Yeah, Bluetooth is there,
It's there, na? What's it called?
uh, Sony HT3.
RT3, right? Yeah. I think
Same there.
my laptop remembers. Is it on? I think so. It's connected. Guys, say something. Someone say something. You can't hear me.
Hari Om,
So
we
can
can
you
hear
me?
you.
Yeah, you all say something. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay. प्रातः स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित्सुखं परमहं सगतिं तुरीयम् यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तिमवैति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते बोधोऽन्यसाधनेभ्यो हि साक्षान्मोक्षैकसाधनम् पाकस्य वह्निवज्ञानम् विना मोक्षो न सिद्ध्यति. We'll chant from verses 64 to 68. Verse number 64 to 68 of chapter 2. रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मन्येव आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति. रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति. प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसः ह्याशुः बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते. प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसः ह्याशुः बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते. नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न चाभावयतः शान्तिः अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम् नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न चाभावयतः शान्तिः अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम् इन्द्रियाणां हि चरतां यन्मनोनुविधीयते तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञां वायुर्नावमिव वाम्भसि इन्द्रियाणां हि चरतां यन्मनोनुविधीयते तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञां वायुर्नावमिव वाम्भसि तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निगृहीतानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निगृहीतानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. You'll see this phrase at the end of many verses. Tasya prajna pratishtita. His wisdom is established. Pratishthit matlab established, pakka hai, right? Buddhi paryavatishthate. In 65 you'll see again paryavatishthate. He is established. So we're talking about this section where we're describing a person of spiritual evolution. We're trying to paint a portrait of someone who is truly spiritually evolved. And we keep saying this. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what you've been. It doesn't matter what you show to the world. Right? If identifying spiritual evolution in someone, how does one truly identify someone as being spiritually evolved? So this section of the Bhagavad Gita paints a portrait of such a person, right? And in short, what we've seen at least so far is it's more about the internal rather than the external. In fact, it's all about the internal. Such a person is everywhere. But as they say, it takes a Newton to recognize a Newton, right? So, for starters, let us stop judging others or drawing conclusions, both positive or negative. Huh? Both positive or negative. Let's not criticize gurus. Neither let's make a turn a god out of them, right? Because we have this tendency in this country, to idolize anyone. क्रिकेटर को भी आइडलाइज कर लेंगे, किसी को भी आइडलाइज कर लेंगे, पॉलिटिशियन को आइडलाइज कर लेंगे. तो वी हैव दिस वीकनेस. इट्स अ वीकनेस. लेट मी पुट इट फ्रैंकली, इट्स अ वीकनेस इन दिस कंट्री टू आइडलाइज एनीवन, एंड परहैप्स दैट्स वन ऑफ द रीजंस व्हाई collectively as a country we have faced a lot of what we have faced, right? So this section paints a portrait of someone who is truly spiritually evolved. One thing is to use it to recognize spiritual evolution in the other, but what is more important is to use it as your own yardstick. How far in the journey am I? So we've been talking about the ladder of fall, 62 and 63. I'll open it up to questions. If there are any questions related to 62 and 63. Hari Om.
I didn't have a question for 62 and 63, but I do have.
Anju.
So, every time we counter this thing that we should have lesser thoughts, or during my experience, we always feel that although sense organs we can withdraw, but to withdraw thoughts is very difficult. So what should we do?
See, thoughts are nothing but manifest vasanas. Right? Thoughts will manifest in a conducive environment. And if a thought is very strong, it will even create the conducive environment. Okay? So, it is an alcoholic's thought that takes him to the bar. That's what I mean. Right? So, two things you have to do. The temporary solution is to withdraw yourself from an environment that will provoke your thought. And I'm saying this because you're saying I'm susceptible, right? You have to, if it's a family situation or if it's a work situation, and you see you can't control yourself, withdraw. Be like the tortoise, pulling its limbs back. There's no harm in that. There's no harm in that. You're not escaping anything. You're just protecting yourself, right? But the more permanent solution is that you have to replace a lower thought with a higher thought. There's no other way. The more permanent solution of controlling your thoughts is replacing it. You can't keep it in a void. Your thoughts can't stay in a void. So you can't run away from something. You have to pick up something higher. What does it mean to grow above an attachment? It means to become attached to something higher. It means to redirect your thoughts to something higher. So you can't pull your mind out of a despair or a trouble or a worry or an anxiety or an anger. Nothing. You can't do that. You can't pull your mind out of a dejection or even a tragedy. You can't. You can only redirect your thoughts to something higher. That's the only permanent solution. But to cultivate that higher thought takes time. So that's the short answer to your question. Hanji, any other questions?
I think Yashwa and Ankita are looking at each other. Who goes first?
No, Rashmi ji is catching up nowadays. Sorry, are you guys able to mute yourselves? I'm not sure. You're not able to unmute yourselves. Okay, in case you all have any questions, I don't know. So, a man musing on sense objects develops attachment for them. From attachment arises anger. From attachment arises desire. From desire arises anger. Anger leads to delusion. Delusion leads to confusion of memory. Confusion of memory leads to loss of intellect. Loss of intellect leads to destruction. He perishes. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. Of course, in the previous class also someone asked this question. Does that mean we shouldn't have desires? Right? But for those of us who have been part of this class by now, we know we are not at all propagating running away from your desires. We're not at all propagating becoming a lifeless object. The problem of life is that you can't function without desires, but you can't function with desires also. That's the problem. You can't function without desires. Otherwise, you'll be a lifeless object, you'll be a stone. But because we make a mess of it, we can't function with desires. The problem is not with the desires, but the position we give it. Desires are our masters, we are its slave. A spiritually evolved person is not one without desire. But for them, their desire is their slave. They are the master of their desire, not the slave of their desire. Right? It's a simple relation. When the relation is flipped, so most of us are slaves of our desire. हम अपने मन की मानते हैं. हम अपने मन को मना नहीं सकते, हम अपने मन की मानते हैं. So it's a simple flip. Here he's talking about when you lack the buddhi to regulate, moderate, guide, cultivate desires as per your deliberation. As Henry David Thoreau said, you must live deliberately. Most of us want many things, even better things for ourselves, but we're not able to implement them. Why? Because Other more stronger desires take complete control over us, right? We don't live deliberately. To live deliberately means your buddhi decides what you should do, what you should not do, what you should think, what you should not think, what thought to allow, what thought to dismiss. See, we do this so beautifully right now. There's a big fad of health and eating protein. It's really nice. We do this so beautifully at the physical level. I don't know why people can't do it at the mental level.
We started
Huh?
these types of classes when they were there, right?
Sorry?
These types of classes. When
Of course they were there.
No, they were the big scale katha and all was there. The social media is full of all this.
So the technique is the same. You have to identify what is harmful for you. You have to identify what is not useful for you. You have to identify what is useful for you. This is protein. Huh? This is spiritual protein. You must take in at least 2 grams per kilo of. How heavy is your heart? How heavy is your heart? So the more you have to feed yourself every day. There's no other way. So when you do that, when you feed yourself this spiritual protein, you will develop a discretion. You will develop an awareness of what thoughts you're allowing to grow, what thoughts you're not. What is the difference between ambition and obsession? It's just about what's in control. In ambition, you are in control. In obsession, you're not in control. Right? And what is that which employs the control is the buddhi. Now here he's talking about that person who has not employed that control. And to some extent, we can all relate to this verse. Up till anger, nobody will agree they are in delusion. Huh? Are you in delusion? Are you in delusion? Sab changa si, I'm fine. But everyone will agree, theek hai. To some point, I experience anger, I lose my temper, I have some greed, maybe some envy. It's called the avaranas, right? The 6 avaranas. So here he's using anger as a singular for all the 6 avaranas. Anger, fear, greed, jealousy, envy, right? Hatred. Kama leads to krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya and dvesha, you can say. However you want to say it. Actually there are more than 6. We can list 26, but collectively anger out here is used for all of these. When you're not in control of your desire, you will suffer from kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, bhaya. So are you experiencing kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya? It means that there is an underlying desire that is uncontrolled and unfulfilled. Period. Now, if you want to, one thing is to help yourself when you're going through this wave of emotion, and the other thing is to find a permanent solution. You have to diagnose what is that underlying desire, and you have to find a way to get over it, address it. Right? But if you don't, anger leads to delusion. Means any of the six modifications of your desire lead you to delusion. Delusion is a state of mind when you're not thinking straight, you're not able to think. When you see things as ulta, your buddhi turns tamasic, right? You draw funny conclusions. We see this in our relationships. People, when they get hysterical, you say something, they interpret something altogether different. Delusion. You have to walk on eggshells when you're around them. Delusion leads to confusion of memory. You lose your sense of space, your place, your awareness. That totally robs you of your capacity to think. And when you lose your capacity to think, pranashyati, finished. We don't want to get to that state. Right now, if the stage is at anger or fear or greed, you can still pull back. Vedanta can still help you. After that, Vedanta also puts its hand out. You have to help yourself. Okay, so verse number 64. Raga dvesha viyuktaistu वियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति. Chant it again. Very good. I'm impressed. She's so shy. She doesn't take the lead. It'll give me some break, otherwise I'm only concentrating. I barely finish chanting, I have to start. So I'm glad. I mean, you're doing your service if you chant in this class. But the self-controlled man, free from likes and dislikes, moving among objects, with his senses under control, attains peace. Prasadamadi gacchati. The word prasada in this context has been translated as peace. In other contexts, especially if you read Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, he is translated as grace, prasad. So there are different translations, but they mean the same thing. They speak to different sadhaks, as it were, but they mean the same thing. But the self-controlled man, free from likes and dislikes, raga, dvesha, viyukta, free from likes and dislikes. Yukta means attached, merged. Viyukta means free, separate from. Right? So free from likes and dislikes, moving among objects. Vishayan indriyaishchar. Moving among objects with his senses under control, attains peace. So, in contrast to verse number 62-63, where we talk about the ladder of fall, a first reading of that ladder of fall will give an impression that, okay, someone should stay away from objects. Someone should not go, not even think about objects, not even have the thought. That's the first impression. Oh, that means you're saying we should not have desires. That means you're saying we should not be in contact with objects. But here he says, the self-controlled man, free from likes and dislikes, moving among objects. Moving among objects. We're not asking you to run away from the world. Yes, you may need to protect yourself. If the desire is too strong, which is, everyone has maybe 2 or 3 desires which are very strong. Those are exceptions. Where you have to protect yourself. Stay away. No harm. But for the rest of it, you have to move among them. You can't escape it. Right? But self-control. You have to meet it in a spirit of self-control. The self-controlled man or woman, free from likes and dislikes, means having developed a little bit of independence from likes and dislikes, moving among objects with senses under control, prasadam adhigacchati, attains peace, attains the prasada, attains evolution, attains fulfillment. See, what do you ask for from God? Whatever you ask for, it's simply a cloak. The underlying desire is peace. Whatever object, whatever thing, whatever you may ask for. Actually, ultimately, what do you want? So, Bhagwan ka prasad kya hota hai? It is a sense of fulfillment. It's a sense of quietness. You're all looking for that one thing. You're all looking for that one thing, having gotten which you not want anything else. Otherwise, what's the point? The problem is you think you want it and it will give you permanent peace. It turns out the other way. But right now, when you really want something, it's with the desire of, ye mil jaye to bas, life sorted hai. Ye deal aa jaye, ye incentive mil jaye, ye ghar ban jaye, ye pota ho jaye, ya poti ho jaye, ya great grandson, great granddaughter. I'll get peace. So what you want ultimately is a sense of fulfillment. The prasad you really look for is peace. He says, you want prasada? This is where you'll get it. He's not talked about acquiring sense objects. He's not talked about enjoying them. He's saying moving among them, but with a sense of self-control.
एक लाइन है सो इसकी
हाँ जी.
बाजार से गुजरता हूँ पर खरीदार नहीं.
It is. They say it's from Socrates. They say it's from Socrates. I don't know. I'm sure every philosopher in their age has said something like this. Yeah, every time I cross the market, I'm alarmed by the number of things I don't need or I don't want. Right? So when you grow, you develop an awareness that you actually don't need most things, or the market is trying to sell you. So that is a stage of growth, right? ऐसे बंदे को, ऐसे आदमी को प्रसाद प्राप्त होता है. Such a person attains peace. This begs the question: how do you practice self-control? How do you practice self-control? Very good. You've given us the answer. If you're self-control, you'll be peaceful.
तो सर जी यहाँ कमल के फूल की एग्जांपल दे सकते हैं ना?
हाँ जी.
कमल का फूल
बताएं जी.
मड में होता है ना कमल का फूल. इट इज अमंग्स मड एंड एवरीथिंग, बट वो निर्लिप्त रहता है हमेशा.
करेक्ट.
इसकी यहाँ बेस्ट एग्जांपल वही है इस श्लोक के अंदर में.
तो कमल के फूल का एग्जाम्पल दे सकते हो आप, कमल के पत्ते का एग्जाम्पल दे सकते हो आप. पद्म पत्र मीवाम भसा, गीता जी में आती है. The idea is to be in the world but be self-controlled. So I said this begs the question: how to practice self-control? I'll come to the example of Kamal ka phool or Kamal ka patta later. How do you practice self-control? Anyone?
By regulating our desires, like doing desires but regulating them.
मजा नहीं आया. मतलब हाँ, मतलब आप बोल रहे हो कि सामने जलेबी है, कंट्रोल करो.
एक खाओ चार मत खाओ.
एक खाओ चार मत खाओ.
Control.
बट मजा नहीं आया ना.
चार
खाना तो चार ही है.
6 जलेबी है, 5.5 बार.
Correct. Good technique. Very good technique. In last week I was in Bombay, so we stay at. I generally don't eat breakfast, but in this breakfast buffet, hot jalebis. So this won't fly, huh? Okay, so
फ्री रहता है वो.
हाँ.
फ्री रहता है वो फ्री.
No, but actually जब फ्री मिलता है तो लगता है कि यार बट एक समय के बाद वो भी मिट जाता है. Okay, so I would urge you all to read, I hope all of you have the commentary of Swamiji. That's the book we're studying, and ideally you should read it for every single verse. But there's a beautiful section out here which I would urge you to read. It's on the screen out here. The words Vishayan Charan appear in the verse mean moving among sense objects. This indicates that a person practicing self-control can remain in contact with sense objects. So when we use the word self-control, first of all, it doesn't mean self-denial. It does not mean isolating yourself. Self-control does not mean giving up possession or giving up enjoyment of sense objects. Nor does it mean moving away into seclusion, living in isolation. Right? So that's the first part, which is clarified. King Janaka possessed a rich kingdom. He thoroughly enjoyed the pleasures. Still, he was a man of perfect self-control. Self-control has a far deeper meaning, right? Now, he says, people generally relate to sense objects in one of two ways. One is they indiscriminately indulge in them. भागो, enjoy करो, जितना मिल सकता है. बुफे में जा रहे हो, Fill yourself till your esophagus. In the other, the person avoids the sense objects in the name of self-control. He considers sense objects dangerous to human welfare. With fear in his heart, he refrains from them assiduously. Both are wrong. Both are wrong. Swamiji gives us this example of another Swami wanting to visit him in the ashram. So his followers came and they did a recce of the ashram. They saw, what the arrangements. And then they walked up to Swamiji and said, Swamiji, what a wonderful ashram you've created. So beautiful, so pristine, so comfortable, so modern. There's only one problem. When our Swamiji will come, you have to ask all the girls to be inside the girls' hostel. I'm not the right person to give this example because I married someone from the ashram. Maybe I should have practiced that. So, Swamiji being himself is like, okay, good suggestion. I'll make sure we, implement that. But what do we do about all the female birds that are flying around? Won't that affect your Swami? So, these are realities of life. You can't run away from the senses, you can't run away from sense objects. Right? And if that's your template for spirituality, it doesn't cut it. Right? Yes, initially, for a certain period of time, you go to an ashram. But even in the third year of the ashram, you fall in love. First 2 years, you... So first 2 years in the ashram, you have to stay. They thought something was wrong with me. This guy doesn't look at anyone else. So you have to withdraw for some amount of time. But after a point, that cannot be your template of spirituality. You can't run away from sense objects. Right? You have to meet them with a certain maturity. Right? You have to meet them with a certain maturity. It's like, you can't tell your child, especially those of you who have teenagers, who are kids, you can't tell them, you can't hide them from the world, you can't keep them away. They will be exposed to all the virtues and vices.
11-year-old son said 10 days back, I have to see Animal, it's an adult movie and I'm going to see it when you guys are not here. And we didn't see it with us.
True. I mean, it must be hard being a parent, especially to an 11-year-old. But yeah, there is a technique to that. Absolutely. So you can't keep them away. Although that has been the technique, adopted in the past.
So you have to suppress also sometimes. You have to suppress.
I'm coming to that. So a middle path. So you have to follow a middle path. The middle path envisages an intelligent use and even enjoyment. So you must also enjoy. The senses are there for you to enjoy. If you don't, you will be suppressed, frustrated, you'll be repressed, you'll be rebellious. Right? But with the proviso that one must maintain a mastery over the sense objects, never enslave themselves. So the first technique is in this middle path. There are two techniques. The first technique is you must approach any enjoyment with buddhi. As Yashodi said, ek khao, char mat khao. But not with the idea of a FOMO, with knowledge. You char khaoge, you will be groggy. Just like you take up your health programs, right? Understand the consequences of any experience. If you have that awareness of the consequences of any experience, if you are true to yourself, if you are willing to listen and see the example of others, that itself will give you enough information. You must proceed to any experience with that awareness. And uske liye aapko buddhi chahiye. Aapko apna buddhi employ karna padega. You must go to any experience with humility, that I need to learn from the experience of others. Right? So, Raga Dvesha means likes and dislikes. This phrase appears throughout the Bhagavad Gita. Likes and dislikes entrap anyone. You like whatever is conducive, agreeable, pleasant to you. You dislike what is unconducive, disagreeable. likes and dislikes have taken over your lives. They have indiscriminately taken over your life. They indiscriminately nurture and nourish your likes and dislikes. People all around you indiscriminately nurture and nourish your likes and dislikes. Consequently, these likes and dislikes grow into a great force determining your course of life. Attraction and repulsion initiate most of your actions. You ought not to perform your actions just because you like to do so. Neither should you refrain from actions merely because you dislike them. You make a grave error in letting your emotional feelings guide your activities. Likes and dislikes are your greatest enemy. This phrase actually comes in the Bhagavad Gita. Likes and dislikes are your greatest enemy. End of chapter 3. Raga Dvesha. If you feed them indiscriminately, they will ultimately destroy you. So, the correct way to function is not to discard likes and dislikes, but neither to indiscriminately quote them. You must employ your discerning intellect and do what your reason bids you. You must do what your reason bids you. Sometimes you may have to do what you don't like to do. Sometimes. 80% of the times your intellect will allow you to do what you like. You want to eat one? Enjoy. Your senses are there to enjoy. You don't eat jalebi every day for breakfast. You come once in 2 months. Bombay. Big deal. If you're a diabetic with 390 fasting sugar, your intellect is telling you, death. Stay away. In both cases, it's not a one size fits all. Your intellect tells you based on your circumstance, based on your position. If you're a general manager in that hotel, that same line of thinking doesn't work because every day you're being given that same breakfast buffet. That same line. So who you are, where you are, what position you are, your intellect will bid you. You must do what your intellect bids you. We always look at others to make decisions for us. We always want to imitate what others are doing. We don't use our own thinking. We don't use our own discretion. You must use your own discretion. You must develop that capacity. Yes, you will make mistakes. You will stumble and fall. But you must learn to take decisions for yourself. Because the intellect, the buddhi is a muscle. It will grow with use. It will grow with use. So develop your buddhi and employ it. In these small decisions. Bade baaton ke to, we'll talk about that later. Big life decisions. These small decisions you must start learning to employ your buddhi and face the consequences of them also. If you make a mistake, theek hai, right? That's one very important aspect because it starts small, but this same buddhi will lead you to the biggest decisions of your life. Especially if you're raising a child, you must raise them in a way where they learn to make decisions for themselves. When they learn to understand the consequences of things, when they learn to understand that this world is an admixture of good and evil, of pleasure and pain, of things that they should go after and things they should not, you have to let them develop that capacity to decide. And it starts with these small things. If you're constantly nudging them, just ye karo, ye mat karo, ye karo, ye mat karo, they'll rebel against you. They'll do what is bad for them just to annoy you.
You will not be able to be consistent at all.
Rashi ji, you have a question. I hope Himanshu is not in the class today.
No, he's not. He's enjoying a party. So, yes.
Party at this time of the day.
He's in the US, so that's evening for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this makes sense.
So, sir, it's a very practical situation that I'm talking about, where you employ your buddhi at most of the times, and you do have the sense of a judicious, let's say, decision making. But when the temptations come your way, for example, let's say we're talking about jalebi and we're talking about a diabetic, we're talking about all of this. Most often, it happens so that your buddhi just goes for a toss. You do not employ it when it is needed the most. How do you handle that situation? Because these are those problems which come every day. And I'm just giving you an example of, let's say, jalebi, but you understand what I'm trying to say, that there are so many problems which come in these form and your temptations just don't go away. How do you handle those situations?
See, you don't need anyone to tell you what is right or what is wrong. Everyone knows what is right, what is wrong. So no one needs to give you a lecture about that. Ye karo, ye mat karo. And how do you know that you know what? How do I know that you know what is right or wrong?
Absolutely. Unless until you do
How
it.
do I know that you know what is right or wrong? Because you later regret it. You later tell yourself, ये नहीं करना चाहिए था. ये नहीं करना चाहिए.
But sir, बहुत सी बार होता है ना, you the time goes away.
एक मिनट.
Sorry.
आपकी बुद्धि आपको कह रही है कि ये नहीं करना चाहिए था. मैं नहीं कह रहा, कोई और नहीं कह रहा, कोई गुरुजी नहीं कह रहे, राइट? आपकी बुद्धि सिर्फ खुद आपको कह रही है कि ये नहीं करना चाहिए था. So you have the intellect to decide what is good and what is bad for you, what is right and what is not right for you. Conundrum you're talking about, the situation you're talking about is in that moment your buddhi is not available to you. So I'm just diagnosing the problem, because if you have to find a solution, you might think the solution is listening to 10 more lectures. No, that's not the solution. Or is there some special mantra we have to chant in the Bhagavad Gita? We have to listen to it 10 more times. So first, it's important to diagnose the situation. You have the buddhi, but it's not available in the heat of the moment, right? Because we've studied before, the mind is very strong, the senses are very strong, the senses drag the mind away. We literally read that verse. 3 verses later, we're going to read it again. The mind carries away the intellect like the wind carries a boat away in water, right? So your intellect is held hostage in such a heightened situation where there is a lot of desire, ichha, what's strong, and the situation is right there. So the only 2 things, one of course is pile driving this knowledge into you. You have to make it part of your daily life, daily awareness. But a very practical tip that Swamiji taught us, and something you should develop, is having 4 to 5 minutes of, you can call it me time, you can call it a time of reflection, a time of introspection, right? If you have the habit of journaling, although he didn't advocate necessarily journaling, because the idea is not to create paragraphs and paragraphs about it, but just to run the course of your day through your head. At the end of your day, before you go into bed, keep the phone aside, keep your all other confusions and distractions aside, right? When you're done with the world, in the quiet of your bedroom, literally on your bed, while you're lying down, just take 4 or 5 minutes to run the day, the course of your day through your head. Literally try to be a little detailed, try to go from the morning when you woke up, all the things you did, try to go moment by moment, experience by experience. It should take you about 4 to 5 minutes, right? And bring to your awareness everything that happened. You'll acknowledge at many points, okay, this was something good I did, this was something I shouldn't have done. The idea is not to dwell too much upon it. The idea is not to blame yourself over it. It's to bring it to your awareness. So you didn't let that moment unconsciously pass. See, you were unconscious in that moment, but you've not let it slide away. You brought it to your consciousness. You brought it to your awareness, right? When you follow the sustained practice, how it will help is, it will help your awareness be there the next time such a heightened situation occurs. That's it. That's all it will do. Then it depends on the strength of your awareness. Then it depends on the strength of your buddhi. But you're giving yourself a better chance to not repeat what is a mistake in your eyes, right? So this practice of bringing to your awareness, see, we are also judgmental about ourselves. We blame ourselves. I'm not asking you to blame yourself, because everyone makes mistakes. And blaming doesn't help. You can't cry over spilt milk. But it's very important to bring to awareness that this is something that happened and it shouldn't have happened. Right? When you follow this practice, a non-judgmental practice of awareness, chances are the next time it occurs, you will not lose your cool. You will not end up doing something you shouldn't have done. You will not eat that extra kachori or puri or whatever it is. You will not say something you shouldn't have said, right? You will approach the situation, because when there is awareness, knowledge is available to you. Everything you are hearing in this class is available to you only when there is awareness. When there is no awareness, whatever you stuff into your head right now is out of the window, right? So it's a very practical tip which has helped me personally, right? It's not a very exciting tip. There's no jadoo tona in this, but it really helps. So to start this practice, 4 to 5 minutes before you go to bed. Okay, so the first facet of self-control is approaching experiences with the awareness of your buddhi. You must learn to employ your buddhi, your sense of reason, right? And you're not going to be 100% right always. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to slip, but the application is important, right? If you always rely on an elder or a swami or a guru or a scripture to tell you what to do, कितना पढ़ोगे क्या क्या पढ़ोगे? So knowledge is actually very simple. Point is applying it is that's the actual important part. The second facet of self-control lies in restraining growth of further likes and dislikes. So right now we've dealt with how to deal with existing likes and dislikes. Right? They are there and they are there in everyone. But your buddhi has to be a master of them, not a slave of them. Right? The second facet is restraining the growth of further likes and dislikes. Because likes and dislikes grow with indulgence. They grow with mental lingering. So he says, though the intellect sanctions an action, it may say, halo, karlo. Though it may sanction an action or the enjoyment of a certain sense object, the creation of a like and dislike may result. So, if after completion of the experience you linger mentally in the pleasure or the experience or the displeasure of it, you will produce a fresh like or dislike. To avoid such a creation, do not allow the mind to indulge in reliving the pleasure or sorrow. This is a technique called ending perception with perception. No matter what, see, you come back from a holiday, you'll have to talk to 20 people. I did this, I did that, I went here, I went that. Everybody who knows me, they know I want to go back to Japan. I love Japan. You might talk to people about your holidays, but internally, within your mind, you must practice this. End perception with perception. You did it, you enjoyed it, you had a good time, khatam. Don't linger in your mind. I had such a good time. I wish I want to go back there again. Next time I hope it's like this. Oh, I want to enjoy it again. That's mental lingering. Oh, next time I wish I can go with this person. Oh, I wonder how it is like. It's a mental lingering. It's creating new desires and expectation. That mental lingering is what further solidifies into a ichha. Right? So, if you are serious about spiritual growth, if you are serious about letting go of this constant cycle of desire, if you are serious about that, you must practice this. You've already created many desires, don't worry. You have enough desires to live through your life. You don't need more. You're not missing out on anything. Your past vasanas are already a bucket full. You have more than you can handle. Don't create more. This is the basis of Sakshi Bhav, the starting point of Sakshi Bhav. It's like, you filled your bucket, now stop the tap. Stop the tap, bas. It's a simple practice. This is a beautiful middle path. You're enjoying life also, but you're not allowing your mind to linger. Bas. Now your mind will not linger only if you have somewhere else to send your mind. Right? Easier said than done. तो आपको किसी हायर थॉट से जुड़ना पड़ेगा. भगवान से जुड़ो. भक्ति के दायरे से बोलो तो भगवान से जुड़ो. जो भगवान से जुड़ते हैं उनके लिए ऑटोमेटिक होता है. किसी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज से जुड़ते हैं, किसी हायर वैल्यू से जुड़ते हैं, किसी हायर पर्पस से जुड़ते हैं. दिस हैपेंस ऑटोमेटिकली. You progress through life in this manner. So you have to have a higher goal to be able to practice this. End perception with perception. So when you live life in such a manner, you're able to enjoy the world, you're able to enjoy experiences, and at the same time not create further likes and dislikes. This is perhaps one of the most practical instructions I have at least learned in my experience of studying the Ramayana. One of the most important lessons. And this is the template for living life. No matter what you're doing outside, no matter how you're meeting people and greeting people outside, this inner awareness and perception with perception. Anji, Om ji.
आपने बहुत अच्छा वर्ड यूज़ किया, जो लिंगरिंग जो है, तो लिंगरिंग का मतलब यही होता है कि हम पास्ट में अच्छा हुआ था और फ्यूचर में भी अच्छा होगा. जो प्रेजेंट में है उसके बारे में कभी हम सोचते नहीं हैं. प्रेजेंट इतना अच्छा मोमेंट होता है, कहीं भी एंजॉयमेंट हो, तो प्रेजेंट में अगर हम रहें, पास्ट और फ्यूचर का सोचे ही नहीं, तो कभी लिंगरिंग नहीं होगा. ये तो एक बात. खैर, मेरा सवाल दूसरा था. आपने जैसे सिगरेट स्मोकर को देखिए, हाउ दे आर कॉट अप. हालांकि सिगरेट की डब्बी के ऊपर लिखा होता है इट इज़ डेंजरस फॉर यू, बट स्टिल ही डज. बट एनीवे, I just want to tell you one thing, कि fasting in some of the religions is taught, they do extreme fasting also. And extreme fasting is also not good for the body, because I don't want to tell how they do and all that. But sometime when you are forced, सुनीता विलियम की स्टोरी पढ़िए ज़रा. 9 महीने वो स्पेस में रही, and with little bit of eating, how she managed for 9 months by reading Gita only. By reading Gita, she has written in that. I hope people have read that. उसकी इंटरव्यू सुनिए, उसमें यही कहा है कि मैंने बहुत कम खाया है, खा के भी मैं जी सकी हूँ 9 महीने. तो कहने का मेरा मतलब ये है कि फास्टिंग बहुत अच्छी होती है बॉडी के लिए, लेकिन एक्सट्रीम फास्टिंग अगर नॉर्मल लाइफ में हम करें, इट इज़ वेरी डेंजरस फॉर द बॉडी ऑल्सो.
So, what Omji is saying is absolutely right. And see, fasting out here represents not just physical eating, but any form of eating,
Yeah,
any form of intake, right? Fasting means a sense of
abstention.
from that,
Yeah,
a limiting factor. And how much to fast is for you to decide, right? But elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, it's written that this knowledge is not for someone who eats too little or eats too much.
yeah.
Eats too little means खाता ही नहीं है, जीता ही नहीं.
Yukt word has been used.
So someone who doesn't experience, someone who doesn't eat. Eat means taking in stimuli, taking in some kind of stimulus, taking in some kind of enjoyment. So both absolute indulgence, total indulgence, or total restriction and abstinence is not suitable. It may be a path it's an exception. Certain exceptional people take to that path and are meant for that path of very rigid tapasya. But it's not meant for most of us, right? It's not a practical technique, and neither is it a helpful technique. It will only lead to more confusion. So the steady, gradual way of progressing spiritually is neither to eat too much nor eat too little. Eat moderately. And when I say eating, not just physical, it is this technique of self-regulation, which we've talked about. When you function like this, prasadam adhigacchati, you will be peaceful, you will be fulfilled, aap shant raho, aap content raho, right? We'll take one more verse, 65. प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसः ह्याशुः बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते. प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसः ह्याशुः. In peace, all his sorrows are destroyed. Prasade sarva dukkhanam. सुख तो गारंटी नहीं कर रहे हैं, बट दुख से मुक्ति गारंटी कर रहे हैं. प्रसादे सर्व दुक्खानाम. In this fulfillment you attain through a regulated, moderated life, all your sorrows at least all your disturbances, all your worries, anxieties, stress, agitations will be destroyed. What more can you ask for? और कुछ चाहिए? Prasade sarva dukkhanam. All in peace, all his sorrows are destroyed. The intellect of the tranquil minded soon becomes steady. Such a state of a tranquil mind, such a place where the agitations have ceased, such an intellect becomes steady. Steady on what? The thought of the higher. Steady on what? The thought of God. However you want to interpret it, right? Your buddhi will become firm and steady for higher contemplation. Your buddhi becomes prepared for meditation. It is building up to that state of meditation. So if you want to turn meditative, if you want to turn steady, you have to practice a life of self-regulation, self-control. There are two ways to attain happiness, fulfillment. One is to go all out and achieve and enjoy everything you can acquire. Now you can try that. But if you do that indiscriminately, it's not going to help. You must couple that with also slowly, gradually reducing the intensity of your desires, improving the quality of your desires, giving it a higher direction. Right? Because he gives for those of you who have the text, he gives a beautiful quotient. Your happiness is nothing but a quotient, it's a fraction. It's a quotient of the number of desires fulfilled divided by the total number of desires. Now you can fulfill all the desires you want, but chances are that when you go all out in this mode of indulgence, you're simply also increasing the number of likes and dislikes, desires. So if you know mathematics, little bit of mathematics, not too much, you know that you may increase the numerator, but if you increase the denominator also, that fraction will not increase. Your sense of happiness will not increase. Right? If you're creating more desires than you're fulfilling, you'll always be in this is what we call the rat race. This is the rat race. Find me one person who's happy. With X amount of wealth, with X amount of power, with X amount of... No, we all come from relatively opulent families. Every couple of years, extra zeros are adding to our... especially, huh?
एक इच्छा बाकी रही
एक इच्छा बाकी रही तो बहुत आगे बढ़ गए आप. But cloaked in this, you're always looking for more. You're always looking for that next good thing, big thing, great thing. Because that's the nature of the world. We're not criticizing. We're not judging a person like this. But this is the nature of the world. It cannot give you what you're looking for. Not in an object, not in a person, not in an experience, not in a great grandson or great granddaughter.
So after gaining this knowledge also, still we look for after gaining this knowledge also, still we are looking for that understanding that it is not there.
No, you're in a middle stage. Part of you is chasing it, but part of you is also reminding you. Kya suna tha Gita class mein? And if you've gotten that far also, you're in the right direction. You will live a double life.
Probably for many things you start withdrawing.
You will live a double life. You're living the path of spirituality is a double life. Right? But so long as there is that awareness, you're making progress. Because it starts with regulation, right? It doesn't start with mukti. It starts with regulation and moderation. अगर आप awareness लाओगे अपने actions, अपने conduct, अपने pursuits में, that is job well done. So, the way to achieve fulfillment ultimately is through this self-control, self-regulation, reducing the quantum of your desires, improving the quality of your desires. So while you pursue the world, while you enjoy it, while you get everything that is coming your way, while you pursue your ambitions, you must also keep this inner journey in mind. Right? In many ways, this inner journey will also transform what you're looking for. It will transform your desires as well. Right? And that's the goal. So, That is how prasade sarva dukkhanam. That's how you'll obtain a state of freedom.
ये श्लोक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है हमारे लिए, हम लोगों के लिए। देखिए, गुरु नानक ने कहा था, नानक दुखिया सब संसार। और भगवान बुद्ध ने भी कहा था, दुनिया में दुख तो है लेकिन उसका समाधान भी है। इस श्लोक में पूरा यही बताया गया है कि दुखों का समाधान कैसे होगा। ये ऐसे ही होगा कि अगर हम अपने माइंड को ट्रैंक्विल कर लें, ठंडा कर लें, तो ऑटोमेटिकल बहुत लोग डिप्रेशन से मारे जा रहे हैं।
ओम जी, मैं बोल लूं?
हाँ जी, नहीं, मेरे ख्याल में यही होना चाहिए।
बिकॉज आपके दुख आप ट्रैंक्विल करके अपने दुख हटा नहीं सकते ना। अब कैसे दुख हटाते हो मैंने समझाया है, बट आप फिर यू आर पुटिंग द कार्ट बिफोर द हॉर्स। आप ट्रैंक्विल कैसे करोगे? फिर लोग कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे। ट्रैंक्विल कैसे करोगे?
नहीं,
ट्रैंक्विल कैसे करोगे? दैट्स द होल पॉइंट। योर ट्रैंक्विलिटी इज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ योर साधना।
वही ये
आप किसी परेशान बंदे को नहीं बोल सकते कि ट्रैंक्विल कर लो अपनी बुद्धि को, अपने मन को। सो लेट्स, आई नो,
लेट गो करते रहते हैं ना हम लोग।
Let's take a step back, and I'm not asking you not to share your thoughts or perspectives, but sometimes also think whether I'm trying to convey something.
Okay, sorry then, I am very sorry.
I may not be right always, okay? I'm trying to convey something. If you want to convey something else, first of all, be conscious of if you're saying something, is it opposing what I'm saying? And if it's opposing what I'm saying, you can call it out, absolutely. But this kind of, it'll confuse people just saying something like this, right? And it defeats the whole purpose. हम एक घंटे आकर के बैठ करके ये समझाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, it'll just confuse people, right? Sorry, I hope you don't mind. I don't want you not sharing your thoughts, but we should be a little more conscious of.
व्यू है, कोई बात नहीं, गलत भी हो सकता हूँ।
Okay, in peace all his sorrows are destroyed, and the intellect of the tranquil-minded soon becomes steady. We'll take up the second half of this verse and the following verses in the next class. Hari Om, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Are there any questions?
Yes. Do share with us the quantity of your jalebi.
Huh?
Do have a jalebi and tell us how good it was.
I'll message you privately.
No, we would like to see the table, Rachna ji's table.
Huh?
We would like to see Rachna ji's table when it's laid.
Rachna ji will send photographs on the group.
Yes.
Now we have to practice whatever we have learnt.
Yes.
And Hari Om.
Okay, any
So the
further?
first one is suppressing your desire.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hari Om.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hari Om, thank you.